If you're over 60 and managing your money in the UK, it's crucial to understand that the way we access our own funds is changing dramatically, and if you're not prepared, it could lead to serious inconvenience or even distress when you need your money most. Across the country, older people are discovering that the familiar routines of visiting a bank branch, withdrawing cash from an ATM, or simply relying on the traditional ways of banking are no longer as straightforward as they once were. Over the past few years, banks have closed thousands of branches, particularly in smaller towns and rural areas, and this has left many people traveling significant distances just to reach a branch, sometimes 10, 15, or even 20 miles away. At the same time, the number of free-to-use ATMs has sharply declined, and where machines do exist, they often charge fees for withdrawals, making everyday access to cash both more difficult and more expensive. These changes are largely driven by a shift toward online and digital banking, with banks pointing out that fewer people are using cash, but for those who grew up in an era where cash was central to daily life, this shift can feel bewildering and unfair. For people who have relied on personal relationships with bank staff and felt secure knowing that a familiar face could assist with transactions, the closures and reduced cash availability are not just inconvenient, they fundamentally alter the sense of security and trust that banking once provided. Beyond closures, there are now stricter withdrawal limits in place, particularly at ATMs, with daily maximums often ranging between £250 and £500, and some banks even lower. For larger sums, customers are being asked to visit a branch in person or provide advance notice, sometimes up to several days or a week, especially if the amount exceeds £2,000 to £5,000. The reason given by banks is security and ensuring sufficient cash availability at branches, but for older people who need to access larger amounts for practical purposes, like paying for home repairs, making a significant purchase, helping family members, or simply managing daily expenses, these new rules can be extremely frustrating and stressful. Identification requirements have also become more stringent, with banks now expecting a passport or driving license as primary forms of verification, often rejecting older forms of identification such as checkbooks, utility bills, or even some types of photo ID. This creates immediate problems for those who no longer drive or do not hold a current passport, effectively preventing them from accessing their money without significant preparation. The push toward digital banking adds another layer of complexity, as many services that were previously available in branch or over the phone now require the use of a bank app or website, including checking balances, transferring funds, or arranging withdrawals. For many older adults who did not grow up with technology, navigating online banking, remembering passwords, using two-factor authentication, biometric logins, or handling one-time security codes can feel intimidating, confusing, and sometimes impossible, leaving them effectively locked out of essential banking services. Even cash deposits have changed, with many banks removing human-assisted deposits, requiring the use of automated machines or post office services, which can be confusing, prone to rejecting certain notes, and located inconveniently. While post offices provide a helpful backup, they often impose lower withdrawal limits, around £300 to £500, and cannot provide all the services a branch can, meaning that planning is essential if you need access to larger sums. All of these changes can create real-life difficulties for older people, arriving at a branch to find you cannot withdraw the cash you need, facing delays due to advance notice requirements, or struggling with unfamiliar technology and complex verification systems can all lead to stress and frustration. The solution, however, lies in preparation and awareness. It is essential to contact your bank directly to understand the specific policies, daily limits, and advance notice requirements for withdrawals, as well as which forms of identification are acceptable. Ensuring your identification documents, such as your passport or driving license, are valid and current will prevent last-minute complications. Gradually familiarizing yourself with online and mobile banking can provide additional flexibility, allowing you to check balances, manage transfers, and monitor transactions without needing to visit a branch for every task. Planning ahead for larger withdrawals and knowing which post office services are available can further prevent unexpected problems, particularly if your nearest branch is distant or limited in the services it provides. Importantly, if you encounter unreasonable barriers to accessing your money, you should not hesitate to raise concerns with your bank, escalate complaints if necessary, and seek support from relevant regulatory services, as banks are legally required to accommodate older and vulnerable customers fairly. Ultimately, while the UK banking landscape is shifting rapidly toward digital services, branch closures, stricter identification, and reduced cash access, being proactive, informed, and prepared will ensure that you maintain control over your finances and continue to access your money safely and conveniently. By understanding the new rules, updating your documentation, learning to navigate digital options, and planning withdrawals carefully, you can adapt to these changes without compromising your financial independence, reduce stress, and continue to manage your savings effectively in this evolving environment, ensuring that your hard-earned money remains accessible when you need it most.